So, you want to win EU funding this year, right? Well, get ready because what's working in 2025 is nothing like what you've been told before. Because everyone says follow the guidelines, write clearly, tick the boxes. You heard that, all of that before. Well, here's the truth. Projects that get funded, they scream at evaluators so that they can't be ignored. Okay, in this episode, we'll look into that in more detail, and we'll also look at the EU's new defense plan. It was recently unlocked and it contains billions, including innovation and research. That's why it's in this podcast. That's why it concerns you. We also have an interview with Annalisa Contu from the NGO ASOC in Romania and in Ukraine. It's a very interesting interview where we can see how they are making the leap from cohesion funds to competitive EU funding. But there's a lot more to that interview. You'll find it interesting, I'm sure. And we close with an analysis of an open call. It's a Creative Europe call. And I hope you enjoy it. So let's get to it. So let's talk about something big that just happened in the EU. It's called ReArm. And why would you, someone involved in innovation or EU-funded project, would care about it? So on March 19, the European Commission unveiled this white paper for European defense and the ReArm Europe plan, Readiness 2020. So very pompous titles. At first glance, you look at it and it's a defense strategy, right? It is, but inside it, there's something much more interesting for the research and innovation community. So the EU aims at much more than just building more weapons and ammo. It wants to build better, new and better weapons. And for that, it needs research, right? So the EU is putting research and disruptive innovation right at the center of this plan. And we're talking about artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, digital transformation, essential topics. They are now considered essential topics for European security. And there's a new funding tool on the table. It's called SAFE, Security Action for Europe. The guys at the Commission have a touch for these names. It will raise up to 150 billion, billion, with a big portion of it meant to fund innovation, tech development, and common procurement in defense. So here's the point. SAFE will be open not only to EU member states, but also to EFTA countries, hi Norway, candidate countries, Albania, and other Balkan countries, and Ukraine. And crucially, it will be open to companies and organizations that are working on dual-use technologies. This is where it opens to a lot of the research in a community nowadays. If you're building solutions that could apply to both civil and defense sectors, this could be of interest to you. And another point important here is that the European Investment Bank will now be able to support research and development in security and defense. This is new. It may seem like a detail, but it's a major shift. Until now, defense was mostly off limits, but not anymore. So this means new funding opportunities for startups, research labs, innovation clusters across Europe, and not only for those that are focused on building weapons, but a lot of you guys are working on the dual-use technologies, and this is now open to you. One more point, and this is strategic. The EU wants to integrate defense, research and development with the broader goals of Horizon Europe, like the green technology, the digital transition, digital transition. So what's the translation of this? If you're not working in defense directly, your project could be aligned with this funding stream. If it touches things like resilience, advanced tech, industrial transformation. One other way of looking at it is that, defense may be headed to Horizon Europe in the future. If they're complying with the same principles, likely. So, to conclude, what does this mean for you, for the research community? Well, you want to keep an eye on new calls. The Horizon Europe, the SAFE calls, and other calls, they may be of interest to you even if you're not building weapons. Because this isn't just about tanks and drones. It's also, okay, but not just about that. It's also about who will lead Europe's next wave of innovation and who will fund it. And, this basically means defense is no longer a silo. Is no longer a separate subject. It's very much at the heart of Europe's research efforts, and this should be of interest to you. See you next week.
So let's get into the heart of it. You've probably heard this phrase before. A good proposal just needs to follow the instructions, be clear, and fill in all the sections. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong. That's the big myth. And believing it is one of the fastest ways to waste months of your life on a proposal that gets rejected. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most proposals do follow the instructions. Many are technically compliant, but only a few are funded. Why? Because fundable proposals don't just follow the rules. They win the game. Let's flip the narrative. Great proposals aren't built to impress a checklist. They are built to convince a human evaluator, quickly, clearly, and compellingly. Here's what the best ones do. They start with ideas that matter, not to you, but to the call's objectives. If your idea doesn't promise to solve their problem, you're out. Ask. If this call had only one winner, why would it be us? Your idea must deliver measurable, lasting results, not just familiar names or last-minute invites. Great consortia are designed with partners who bring credibility, diversity, and execution power. Ask, can each partner survive a grilling from an evaluator on why they are essential? A strong partnership will convince evaluators that your capacity to implement the project is very, very high, and thus boost your chances. Here's the one nobody talks about. You need to make it easy to score. Not by adding fluff or pretty charts, but by structuring your proposal like a well-written movie. Hook them in the intro, guide them with clarity, show the stakes, deliver the payoff. Ask, can an evaluator skim this at 10 p.m. on their third proposal and still see my strong points at first glance and thus score it high? A good story saves the evaluator time, and you, potentially millions in funding. If you treat a proposal like a checklist, you'll bore the evaluator. You'll blend in with the 150 other submissions. You'll waste time and energy with no return. And worst of all, you won't know why it failed. Start with the call's impact statement and reverse engineer your idea to match the questions the evaluators get in their guidelines. Use the readiness pyramid. Strong idea, aligned partnerships, irresistible, evaluator-friendly story. Test your narrative with Smart Proposal AI, an AI assistant that scores your proposal like an evaluator would. It shows where you're strong, what's weak, and how to fix it before you submit. You'll save time, avoid painful rejections, and feel 10x more confident about your chances. The link to access Smart Proposal AI is in the episode notes. https.
It's on. Okay, good morning. So welcome back to InnovEU, the EU Project Chronicles. Today we have with us Annalisa Contu. She's talking to us from Romania. And please tell us where in Romania, and tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Yeah, thank you, Fernando, first of all, for the invitation. Yeah, you are right. I'm attending to this session from Romania. The name of the city where I live is called Baia Mare. It is in the northern part of Romania, so usually everybody knows Bucharest, but not. We are completely on the opposite side than Bucharest. Just to give you an idea, we are very, very close to Hungary and also to Ukraine. So, yeah, very in the north. And yes,
Yeah.
I work for an organization, an NGO that is called ASOC. I can let you know more about my organization on the next minutes.
Please do. That's the idea, please.
Yeah, so ASOC, I work at ASOC as a European project manager. So basically, what I do is to look for fundings, mainly at a European level, look for partnership, of course, evaluate the open calls and also the forthcoming calls to see whether they fit our purpose. And then I am, of course, involved in both in writing projects at European level and also in implementing them as a manager and activities coordinator. So basically, to let you know more about ASOC, we, as I told you, we are a private NGO. We have 30 years of experience as social services providers. So mainly we are actually on the top 5 of the social services provider in the whole Romania. And basically, that's what I do. I try to look for fundings and then write projects to finance our social services. We work with several categories of vulnerable groups. So mainly, we work with persons with disabilities, mainly intellectual disabilities, adults with intellectual disabilities mainly. And as I told you, since we are very, very close to Ukraine, we have also had a lot of work to do with the Ukrainian refugees because we have had a really relevant flow of Ukrainian refugees in our region and especially in our city, of course, which is the main one of the northern Romania, at least in the zone where I am situated. So
I was gonna ask you that. Actually, when Russia invaded Romania, Ukraine, fortunately, did not invade Romania, but when they invaded Ukraine, I was in Romania, and I could notice how that disrupted life. Ever since that happened, your organization's activity and your life has been severely affected. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I would say at general level, the life of the population here has not been affected. Of course, maybe at the beginning we were very scared because we did not know what was happening. Of course, nobody knew. But the life of the general population, I will say that it was not very affected, besides the fact that we received a lot of Ukrainian refugees. But me, with my organization, ASOC, we were, of course, in the first line because as social services provider, we created some we call them hotspots at the border. So at the border between Romania and Ukraine, we had them some facilities, let's say. We had a very big project for that in collaboration with UNICEF Romania, and we offered different kinds of services for all the Ukrainian refugees that were crossing the border in that moment. So basically, at the beginning, of course, these services we offered were mainly related to the short term. So maybe food, accommodation, transportation, because maybe some refugees cross the border and enter Romania, but Romania was not the final destination. So we also provided transportation in other countries or in other zones of Romania. Clothes, but of course, since we are a social services provider, we mainly provide also social services, psychological services, and also maybe in some cases when it was possible, reintegration with their families, legal services, and so on. Of course, also in collaboration with other NGOs that were involved, because of course this was a teamwork, let's say. Now the situation is more stable, let's say, in the sense that the Ukrainian people that are still living in Romania or in Baia Mare, in our city, basically we expect them to stay here in the long term. So also the services that we offer for them have changed. of course. Now we aim at their integration in the long term. So, for example, we offer Romanian language courses for both adults and children. We offer English courses for them. We offer professional integration services. This was also a challenge for us because we have also had previously to the war in Ukraine, we have also had other services for migrants and refugees from other nationalities, but maybe their educational level was lower. Now the refugees that we are welcoming from Ukraine are also highly educated, and they were conducted in Ukraine, well-remunerated professions. And so maybe I will say that this is the main challenge for the long-term integration, which is the language barrier. So we are trying to overcome it somehow.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned several collaborations you have with international entities like UNICEF and EU, the European Commission. My question is, how do you get funding for your activities? Because
this is actually
do a lot of things. You do so many things. You need funding for that. How's your strategy for that?
Yeah, this is actually a good question. So mainly, let's say that we are lucky, I would say, if we can say like that, because Romania still received structural fundings from the European Union. This meaning the fundings that are offered by the European Union with the European money, to give you a very simple idea, but to implement projects at national, regional, and local level. So these are European calls, but to be implemented at the local and national level. So we still I will say that 90% of our fundings comes from national calls, but my role and also my strategic position within ASOC is exactly to prepare my organization for the moment in which these fundings will no more be available for Romania, because now Romania, we receive this funding because it is considered as a less developed country than the average European countries. But Romania has started to slightly reach the average of well-being, let's say, of the general population than the other European countries. So structural fundings will soon disappear, or in any case, we are going to receive less fundings from national calls. And my role is indeed to be trained, let's say, to look for European fundings. So basically the ones that require to apply at European level, such as, for example, we work for the moment on Erasmus, on SERV. We have also tried to apply for some Horizon. So let's say these are only the first steps for us, but we would like to learn more about that, because this is, of course, the future for our organization.
The idea of the structural funds, we've been through that here in Portugal. You get closer to the European average, and so you get less structural funds. The more new countries enter the European Union with the lower income levels. If the European Union enlarges, grows eastward, like we did in the early 2000s when Romania and Bulgaria and some other countries entered, suddenly Portugal wasn't the lower income, so we got less. But nevertheless, I never saw that happen. I never saw less European money entering the country. But okay, that's a different conversation. If you are preparing to enter the world of the competitive European funds, wait a second. My throat is not liking spring this year. If you are entering that competitive world, how is your Oh boy. Sorry. How are you going to survive? My point is, what are your strong points? What can you bring to the table that makes you a good partner in these calls?
So for sure, I will say that our strong point is that we work directly in direct contact with our beneficiaries of the social services, because it happened that we have collaborated with public authorities that were higher level than our organization. And our point was indeed to be able to let them understand how things work in practice with our beneficiaries, because sometimes what I see, at least from my small personal experience and professional experience, I will say that the European policies are, of course, something at a higher level, but sometimes they are more abstract. You have a definition or a general rule about how to apply policies in practice, but most of the times maybe European authorities do not really understand in depth how to implement concretely these policies in the field. So this will be for sure our added value. And as I told you, yes, our relevant experience, because we have 30 years of experience as a social services provider, and we are one of the biggest social services provider in Romania. So our experience, as I told you, we have now achieved a great experience, I will say, in migrants, but we mainly work, for example, also with persons with disabilities, as I told you. So we have different services for them. And of course, we and the whole Romania as a state in general is eager to offer more social services for them. So, for example, one strategy at European level, national, and so at the national level in Romania, one strategy concerning persons with disabilities is the desinstitutionalization, meaning that persons with disabilities, for the moment, they have lived in very big centers, institutions, facilities, hosting a very high number of persons with disabilities living there. This implying that the personnel, the staff that was working in those facilities was not able to take care individually of each of them. So what we are trying to do, following the Romanian strategy and also the European strategy, is to offer community-based services for them. So what we are doing, one of our biggest project in the last 2 years has been to create some facilities, some supported houses for persons with intellectual disabilities, in which each house hosts at a maximum of 10 beneficiaries with intellectual disabilities, in such a way that the number of staff, social workers or psychologists or working there, is able to take care of each of them individually, which for the moment has never happened in bigger institutions, let's say. So we are really proud of that.
Let me ask you something a little bit more personal. The way you talk about that project, does it mean it's your the favorite project you ever worked in, or is there any other project that is your favorite?
Yes, I would say so. So I'm passionate among all the beneficiaries we offer social services to. I'm more passionate, I will say, for what concerns the services we offer to persons with intellectual disabilities. So as I already mentioned, right now we have different residential services for them, but also daycare centers in which persons with disabilities who live with their family, they can come to us during the day. And at the end of the day, they go back to their family. But what I'm proud of is precisely the residential services we offer for them. For the moment, we have 5 supported houses for them, each of them hosting 10 beneficiaries. I'm proud of that because, as I already mentioned, before coming to our supported houses, they have never had such level of individual care. Basically, they were not, let's say, accompanied throughout their daily life. So most of them are now adults, and they have lived in such conditions for 30, 40, 50 years without having no one taking care specifically of them and taking care of developing their capacities of living within the community. Some of them, for example, the situation is quite critical because some of them have never gone out of such big institutions, you know. So when they moved to our supported houses, for them it was really something spectacular just to go out for a walk.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have in our facilities, we have social professionals, as I told you, mainly social workers, psychologists, but also, for example, a physiotherapist, because we also, of course, take care of their physical health besides the mental health, which is the most important for us. But in any case, these social professionals take care of them 24 hours per day, and their aim is to teach them to live independently, which may be, you know, something that you take for granted, but it is not in their case. Just to go out for a walk, to go grocery shopping, to go shopping and to buy a shirt for yourself, to learn how to cook something, to learn how to clean your room. They have never, for us, for normal people, these are basic things, but for them, they are a really great achievement. And this is actually our challenge, because the first supported house that we opened is opened now for more than 10 years. So when we welcomed there the beneficiaries, they were younger. And so it will also easier for our social professionals to teach them how to live independently, okay? Because
I guess that experience, those 10 years, will help you now with the new initiatives. You learned a lot in those 10 years, I guess.
Exactly, with the new supported houses. But the challenge is that the beneficiaries that we have welcomed in these new supported houses, they are 4 of them, each of them, as I told you, with 10 beneficiaries. The main challenge is that they are adult. Okay, so they have lived for their whole life in other bigger facilities in which the attention for each of them was lower. So now the challenge is that being adults and having lived for so many years in a certain way, now for them it is a completely different life. So of course this is a process that takes really a lot of times, and our mission is to be happy for each of the small challenges that they manage to overcome. So yeah, as you can hear, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I can see you are. Yeah, I can see. Let's continue talking about the future. We already started. You were mentioning some of the challenges, and some of them involve Ukraine. What's your view? What kind of projects you think you'll be doing in the future? I guess that will depend a little bit on the war, even if the war ends. Not sure it will. But even if the war ends, there will still be a lot to be done with the Ukraine refugees and rebuilding, I guess, if that ever happens. I'm not sure. But also, if the European Union enlarges to the Balkan countries, will that somehow affect your activity in the near future? How do you see how do you see your activity in the future?
So of course, in the future, in the near future, we are going to keep supporting the Ukrainian population, both the refugees that are now based in Romania, by offering the services that we are now offering. As I told you, from our perspective, the most important services we can offer now are professional integration, but also services that can help them overcome the language barrier, and also to come into a greater contact with the European values, because this is also important, since, as you know, Ukraine has started its process to become a European member state. So we are also developing now some initiative that somehow help Ukrainian people get more acquainted with the European value, to prepare them to this unification with the other European states. So this is for sure one strategic direction for the near future, but I have also another one to mention. which is related to the fact that we have opened now a working point in Ukraine.
Okay.
In the safest part of Ukraine, I will say in the western part of Ukraine, because you know the conflict is more in the east. So we opened a center on the western part, which is the part that now hosts the biggest part of the population. So internally displaced refugees, meaning Ukrainian people that have not abandoned Ukraine, but they have just moved in another part of the country that they consider safer, the western Ukraine. We have opened there a rehabilitation center for war veterans. And so we offer basically psychological services for people that have been affected from a psychological point of view by the war, which, as you can guess, it is a really, really high number. And we also offer physical rehabilitation services for war veterans, and also for any other people that now has a physical disability related due to the conflict with Russia. So we have created now, I will say, a relevant network of partners, also from Ukraine, through which we also try to offer these kinds of social services to also the Ukrainian population residing in Ukraine. And concerning the fundings, there is an ongoing program, which is the Interreg Romania-Ukraine. And also we have the ones, the USCA ROA is called, which involved also more European countries rather than only Romania and Ukraine. So we are trying to access this, the fundings provided by this program, because of course they are going to significantly help us from our perspective.
Yeah, I guess there will be work to be done there for a long time. Unfortunately, but very, very needed that work. Okay, so I wish we can close the interview with a more positive message. Do you have any final message?
What should I say at this point? I wish for myself and for my organization to become more competitive, not only at national level, since I will say that we have quite reached a good level at the national level. I wish to achieve this level also at European level. So to consolidate our position, not also internationally. We have already started, as you can see, but this is not the end, you know. So I wish also to increase my network of valuable partners at the European level that can help us achieving our objective, and of course enhance the general well-being of all vulnerable groups in the Europe.
So we'll be publishing your contacts in the podcast notes. So anyone who wishes to partner with you with ASOC can get in touch with you. Is there other ways people can somehow contribute? Do you accept volunteers, for instance?
Yes, we are also now implementing a volunteering program, for example, with the European Solidarity Corps. So we are welcoming volunteers coming from other countries of the European Union, and not only. We have received, for example, last year, some volunteers from America. So any person who is interested in participating to such social services with our vulnerable group can just contact me and apply. And no matter if we want to go for the European Solidarity Corps, or also maybe one volunteer wants to come to our organization individually, everybody is really welcomed. For example, in this period, we are also hosting some students from the university who are coming from the social work faculty of social work, who are coming to ASOC to do their internship there. So we are also really, really open and glad to host also young people, because their point of view and their innovation potential is really valuable for us as well.
Okay, very good. So, thank you very much for this interview. As I said, your contacts will be available in the podcast notes. I hope to see you soon in many EU partnerships and projects and activities. Uh, I wish you all the best and see you soon.
Thank you, Fernando. Bye bye.
Looking to make your cultural or creative project European in scope and funded by the EU? Then the CREA Cult 2025 Cup 2 Open Call might be exactly what you're looking for. This is part of the Creative Europe program, which exists to promote cultural diversity and innovation across Europe. The specific objective of this call? To support medium-scale European cooperation projects that either foster the transnational creation and circulation of European artistic content, or enhance the capacity to innovate, create jobs, and support inclusive and sustainable cultural sectors. But here's the catch. You must choose one objective when applying. Projects can include artistic co-productions, training programs, capacity-building actions, innovation labs, mobility and networking initiatives, and communication and dissemination campaigns. However, purely audio-visual projects, like film or TV focused only, are not eligible under this strand. You need to be a legal entity, public or private, from a Creative Europe country, including EU member states and associated countries. For this specific topic, Co-op 2, your consortium must include at least 5 independent organizations from 5 different eligible countries. Bonus, international organizations are welcome too. Note, natural persons, unless self-employed, are not eligible. The call opens on December 10, 2024, with a deadline to apply on May 13, 2025, 17:00 CT. Evaluation results will be available in October 2025, and grant signatures are expected in January 2026. The maximum EU grant per project is $1 million with a funding rate of 70%. This means you'll need to secure 30% co-financing from other sources, your organization, partners, or third-party contributions. Your project should strengthen the European dimension of artistic creation, encourage collaboration across borders, promote social inclusion, gender equality, and sustainability, support the digital and green transition, and help Ukrainian cultural professionals continue their work in the EU. To summarize eligibility, legal entities from Creative Europe countries, a minimum of 5 partners from 5 different countries, projects should address only one objective, must align with EU values and Creative Europe priorities. Maximum funding is $1,000 at a 70% co-financing rate, and the duration can be up to 48 months. If you're working on a collaborative cultural project with transnational ambition, this is a golden opportunity. For all details and to apply, visit the Funding and Tenders portal. We've included the link in the show notes. Start now, because great ideas need time to grow, and this call could be the stage your project deserves.
InnovEU, the EU Project Chronicles, is a weekly video podcast. Please subscribe the Polyxox newsletter to receive every podcast episode. And if you like receiving it, please press like in whatever platform you are watching or listening. Also, please share InnovEU and Polyxox with anyone you feel will enjoy it. Credits: author and host Fernando C. Gaspar, music Hugo Gaspar, Lisbon, Portugal, 2024. Reach us by email or DM.